Hi everyone, it's Mo here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Game week 11 has just finished. It's been a crazy manic game week, and in game week 12, we're going to get you prepared and ready in 3 easy steps to make sure we get that green arrow and we're fully ready for game week 12. Now, before we get into the video, do me a favor. I want you to like, subscribe, share this video with any other FPL managers you think will enjoy this content. Now you've done that, let's get straight into the video. Step 1. What's the first and most important step? After a game week, what you want to do, you want to take your time, have a look at your team, load it up, and start looking at the injuries, the impacts of injuries and sending offs. That's the first thing you want to see. Because if you didn't have any of those, as I said, you can start planning transfers with just a clean sheet of paper and look forward, do some good planning, and bring in the players you think are going to get the most points. Sounds simple, but when you've got injuries like this game week, we've had quite a lot of injuries pop up. I mean, James Maddison's a fresh one from the Spurs crazy game with Chelsea. What a manic game that was. We got 2 red cards, Romero and Udegi. So again, Udegi could impact you. If you're like me and don't have the best bench, and if Udegi's got sent off, you're gonna have to look at that and see, what you're gonna do with that in that next game week. Maddison, key player, highly owned. Absolutely incredible player, but came off injured. We haven't got the diagnosis yet. You're going to get that information from Ange once he has a press conference. So again, important to get information. So step 1, you want to just look at your team, assess the injuries, the cards, and see where you're at. Something like Haaland, for example, it looks like he's training already. It's going to be ready for the midweek fixture, which means more than likely he could play in the Premier League. So this is the information you want to soak up. Matty Cash, his shoulder injury is hopefully not as bad as first thought. So he could be ready for the weekend as well. So again, one less transfer, one less worry, hopefully. But you're going to want to get all this information. Make a list of all your injured players, all the players have got cards, and then start doing a couple of permutations of what if. So if Haaland, just say Haaland is out for, say, a month, what are you going to do there? Say Banderson is out for a month, what are you going to do there? And then you can start planning your transfers with that in your mind. But you need that information. You could not make a move or plan without having this information. So definitely look at your team, look at the injuries, look at the red cards or yellow cards, and then from there you've got a base of what you need to do first. Sounds simple enough, but you'd be surprised how many don't. They just rage transfer after a bad game week like this game week where points are scarce, and you just start taking people out. Next thing you know, you've brought people in, but then you've still got injured players in your team. You need to take a -4 or a -8 to correct that come the deadline. You do not want to do that. So just step 1, assess your team, assess the injuries, assess the cards. Let's have a look at step 2. This one's actually an important one. We've got massive midweek fixtures. So European football, so Champions League, Europa Cup, all the big teams are playing. So again, you get 2 things from this. First and foremost, when they play, you have to be careful. More injuries could be picked up. So don't want to make transfers until your players are finished playing and hopefully they're ready for the Premier League on the weekend. The second part and the good part about this, you also get a second opportunity of press conferences so the managers can update you on injuries. So say, for example, Aston Villa are playing, they'll speak to Unai Emery. Hopefully cash comes up. I mean, it might be easier, just he's actually starting midweek, then you've got nothing to worry about. But just say he doesn't start, then Moshe will probably ask him, you might get the information you need. He says, no, he's fine, I just don't need to use him tonight. Should be back on the weekend. Again, there you go. There you can make your information, make your assessment whether you think he needs to come out, whether he can stay in your team. Loads of games. You just have to look at that list there. You see for yourself. Most teams are playing. Brighton, West Ham, Liverpool, Man City. Everyone is playing. So without a doubt, soak up the fixtures, watch the games, get information after, listen to the press conferences before you do any moves. Now, the third step. So even though in step 1 and step 2, I almost tell you to assess, take your time, watch the midweek fixtures. If you're like me and you've got budget constraints, I've only got 0.1 in the bank, this step does become important. So I'm planning my moves. Of course, I'm keeping an eye out on the step 1 and step 2, but I do need to be wary if the plan I've got to bring someone in and it's the same budget I've got right now. I need to keep an eye on these sites that give me the price rises or the price drops and make make my decision on when I'm going to make that move. Ideally, I want to wait until the deadline day. But if I can't because of price rises or price drops, then I might have to go. Obviously, you need to assess that with your team. You might not be in this situation. You might have a lovely budget, which means you do not need to worry about this step. I wouldn't ever worry about this. If I was in a healthy position of money in the bank, I would neglect this step personally. But this is something that does need to be considered for us managers who, like me, I've only got 0.1 in the bank. Some will have 0.0 with hardly any give. So without a doubt, that's the 3 easy steps. Seems straightforward, but you'd be surprised how many times managers, especially after a bad game week like this game week, where even I got 17 points. What? I was expecting my captain Haaland to beat that, but that tells you it was a horrible game week. We can react with rage and just start removing players from our team. Next thing you know, the deadline's here and we've still got 2 players who are injured. We have to take a -4 or a -8, which hurts our overall rank, hurts our positions in mini league. We do not want to do that. That's why we follow these 3 steps. And actually, I've got one more step, and it's a bonus one. And the reason I mention it now is this international break after this game week 12. Of course, not much we can do about that, but it's maybe worth considering some of your players. Say you're transferring in a player that's going to be playing in South America for 2 games, and you really need him to play in game week 13, but he might be back late. Just say, for example. So it's worth considering. I wouldn't let it impact you too much in your planning, but it's just something to bear in mind that you're bringing in players for 1 game week, then there's a 2-week break. They fly all over the world to play their games, and then they're back. Obviously, we're all just keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that the players come back fully fit, but just something to bear in mind. I hope you found them steps useful. Trying to be ready and prepared for game week 12. We want to get that green arrow to take us into the international break with a smile on our face. Now, if you did enjoy that, do me a favor, like, subscribe. Trying to get to the 200 subscribers. Can only do that with your help. So I'd really appreciate that. And on that note, I wish you good luck and I'll see you on my next video.